Welcome to Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. This is not your typical financial radio show. As a licensed CPA, insurance agent, and investment advisory representative, Chris coaches his clients on a holistic view of financial well-being with an objective of providing a complete financial strategy to fund life's goals. Chris is here to guide you down the path to the financial serenity you deserve. Now, here's Chris Cooper.
All right, we can officially all move on with our lives. The election is over. Commercials have ceased. We have official results in. We knew on election night we had a fairly clear-cut winner, right? It was a pretty impressive performance by former President Trump, who is now our president in waiting and going to take on his second term in office in the upcoming year. So that's pretty exciting news. I know I, for one, am pretty excited about that. I think that there was a lot of good things that the platform was going to do and is going to be able to continue to do. And I look forward to seeing some of those plans take a little bit more proactive approach over the course of the next 4 years. And I'm hopeful that the Republican Party can continue that momentum and maintain that kind of control, if you will, because the Democratic side is a little bit of a mess, it seems. And I'm a big fan of no government or less government, quite frankly, I'll be honest. So now the Republican side has control of Senate and House as well. So this is the time to get some of these plans in motion. And there was a clear-cut message sent with this election. And it was pretty clear that the country as a whole is very concerned about the direction we're going and looking for some positive change. And I think this is the time where the Republican Party had better make sure that Donald Trump said it. President Trump said it. Its actions are going to speak, right? It's time to put up, if you will, right? And actions are going to speak volumes, and there's going to be an election coming up in 2 years that's going to be here before we know it, where the House could shift, right? It happens every 2 years. We have an election cycle. We like to think about it just with the president's side, but it is more frequent than that. And so we've got a message. That message has been sent. Now it's a matter of making sure that we execute. It is time to execute. So hopefully we'll see some good things happening. We've already seen some inflation reductions take place, right? We'll talk a little about the Inflation Reduction Act here. But we've seen some reduction in inflation. Now it's time to see some longer term policy impacts. Hopefully we get some, good impacts on our border policy. Okay. I'd like to see some more U.S. jobs get created right here in the good U.S. of A., right? I think that's a very important aspect of it. The Trump tax cuts that were done in 2018 Tax Cut and Jobs Act, that's probably going to continue. With the control going in the Senate and the House, that's probably going to be something that is going to be placed a little bit more, can't say permanent because no tax law is permanent, but we're going to probably see that be extended as long as it possibly can be, which is a good thing. That provides a little bit more runway. But folks, remember, we don't retire. We don't think about retirement just for the next 4 years. We don't think about and base our retirement decisions based on the fact that hopefully the Republican Party can continue along and maintain control and the tax situation is going to stay this way. I don't care who's in office. Are taxes going to be lower, stay the same, or higher in the future? I still think they're likely to be higher than they are today. All right. I do. I think it's just a matter of a math problem. All right. We're living longer lives. We have more government control of things. We're just more expensive, right? Everything's more expensive. I would love to say we're going to be able to bring in revenue to help solve some of our national debt concerns with the new administration that can continue to gain some momentum in these ways. But I don't know. I don't know if I really believe that that's necessarily a political party thing. I like that party and that administration doing things more that I believe make more sense economically, but I still think we have this underlying math problem. So we've got some runway. We can make some decisions. Finally, we can make some decisions. It's so funny. People have been putting life on hold for the election. Well, the election's over. Really, I would say that, how much has really shifted from yesterday to today? I don't know, right? Not too much, but we have a good path, a good direction. The stock markets seem to like it as well, right? These are good things. Now it's time to see some action, right? So we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about some things that are going to happen in 2025, regardless of what's going on in the political election side of things, because it's not necessarily influenced by what happened when we elected our new president in November. It's already taken place, and that is, we're going to talk a little bit about healthcare with my friend Holden, so stay tuned.
You're listening to Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. Request a free copy of Chris's latest book, The New Holistic Retirement, by visiting SerenityNowTax.com. That's SerenityNowTax.com.
Hey, it's Chris, and if you are worried about the risk of rising taxes, would like to keep your fair share, and reduce your partnership with the IRS, I'd like to send you a copy of my latest book, The New Holistic Retirement. You deserve a holistic and complete retirement plan. So why wait? Get on the path to financial serenity. All you have to do is request this book today.
Get your free copy of Chris's latest book, The New Holistic Retirement, at SerenityNowTax.com. That's SerenityNowTax.com. SerenityNowTax.com.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli. You're listening to Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper on 101.9 and 94.1 NewsTalk STL.
All right, we're back. We got Holden Kiefer back in studio with us today. Holden, you guys pretty busy with open enrollment period?
Yes, we are. It's good. I'm happy to be back, by the way. It's good to see you and get to hang out with you again. Yes, I am very, very busy. And especially since the election is now over.
Yeah.
People were definitely waiting to make some decisions. But since the election's been decided, my phone has just been ringing off the hook.
You know, it's funny. I think that people tend to put things on pause for weird reasons, and the election kind of being one of them. Really, nothing changes in our day-to-day life, but all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, we can't think until this magical day that doesn't influence us happens.
Yeah, I guess that's what it was. I'm serious. Like beforehand, I had to reach out. I had to chase my people down who I've helped prior to say, hey, let's get something on the calendar. And like, oh, okay, all right, we'll do that. And then it was really hard to get some new people in. But since then, like I said, it's just been real busy.
Yep. Now, were you staying up the whole night, check things out, or do you end up calling it a night at some point?
Oh, I called it a night. I stayed up till probably about 10:30. And I was like, you know what? Me staying up isn't going to change the outcome, and I'm tired. So I'm going to sleep. The whole thing. Yeah, my wife Mariah, she stayed up until about 3 a.m.
Yeah, I think I was like 2. You know, it was great. I like the results, so I'm okay.
Yeah,
so,
right.
You know.
Amen to that.
But you know, it's crazy. People put their life on pause for these kind of things. Then some things go on.
Yeah,
right?
I can't imagine. Like, I mean, I still just did what I did. It's going to be what it's going to be, and you have to just keep moving.
Yep. So open enrollment started when?
For Medicare, October 15th, and then for everyone under 65, November 1st.
Yep.
So we're into both enrollment periods.
Gotcha. Now, big changes, right? The Inflation Reduction Act, which I always say funny in quotes because it's not my terminology. That's the prior administration, I guess current, on their way exiting out, their terminology, and the Inflation Reduction Act, which I don't agree with the terminology on, by the way, made some significant changes for 2025.
Yes, it did.
Those are going to happen without any change in president anyway.
Oh, yeah. That's already set in stone. It's done. All these changes were official as of October 1st. So that's more than a month before that was decided, right?
And you told us last time, biggest change, prescription drugs.
Yep, the biggest change is coming to the prescription drug side. We finally have the Part B number. Funny, it came out after the election was decided. When we were told November 1st.
Shocking.
They told us November 1st. When I read that email, I was like, we're not getting it November 1st.
Yeah.
So Part B, the part comes out of Social Security. If you're on Social Security, your red, white, and blue card. The standard premium in 2024 is $174.70. We saw a $10.30 increase. So it is $185 starting in January.
Got it. So a $10 increase per month.
Correct. On the Part B side. If you have an IRMA, you'll pay more than that and you'll see a bigger increase, but that's the standard.
So also IRMA, a little bit of a tax basically is what that is, right? So it's a subsidy that people pay over certain income levels for benefits.
Correct.
Whether that be prescription drugs or Medicare. It's essentially a tax, folks. At the end of the day, you can call it a medical premium based on income levels. Yeah. That's a tax.
Yeah, depending on who I'm sitting across the table from, I tell them it's a success tax.
Yes,
you made a lot of money, so now the government wants a little bit of some of that back.
Your definition of lot of money is questionable too. Right?
Yeah, right.
So,
yes, the government. I agree,
but we'll digress. So,
and then there's the prescription drug changes. Obviously, the big part of it is that the donut hole, the coverage gap, this in between part where you're going to pay usually 25 or upwards % of those prescription drug costs. That's gone. In 2025, at least, they're doing away with that.
So it's a little bit more simplified then, right?
A little bit more simplified, yeah, definitely. And then they're introducing this maximum out of pocket, whereas this year in 24 and every year prior in Medicare when prescription drugs were covered, they could charge you all year long, no matter what insurance company you pick.
Yeah.
Now they have to stop at $2,000, and everything after that, the insurance carrier has to pick up that difference.
Gotcha.
And what we're seeing, what is happening, is a lot of shakeup on the Advantage plans when it comes to the medical, the hospital, and the extras. And then when people who have supplements or drug cards, they saw huge increases in some cases, not all, on their prescription drug cards, where usually, you know, it's somewhere in the ballpark of 5% increase, kind of inflation right now, where some of them are as high as 30 or even more percent that they saw on a monthly premium increase. So that went up big time.
And I think the key there is because the government kind of thought process on this is we're going to institute this $2,000 max out of pocket on prescription drugs. The insurance carrier is on the hook for the balance, but we know that the insurance company is not going to be on the hook for the balance.
No.
They've got to figure out some way to make this program work.
Yep.
And if they're going to be forced to put a $2,000 max on it, that money comes from somewhere.
Correct. What I've been telling people is insurance companies are for profit.
Sure.
They are not non-for-profit.
Yeah.
If you think that, you're silly.
Yeah.
The insurance companies are out to make money at the end of the
And
day.
that doesn't mean they're price gouging.
No.
They have a risk, right?
They do.
I mean, they need to be able to offer what they offer. We need that.
Correct.
That's not a bad thing. Companies making a profit is okay.
Yes, right. It is okay. You just got to know that if the government's going to come in and tell them they're going to start losing money on the right-hand side, they're going to go to the left-hand side and find a way to save it. And that's what we've seen. A lot of the insurance carriers made a shift, in my opinion, that's pretty good. They went from, instead of casting this huge wide open net to just catch anyone, hey, I'm this insurance carrier, but I can help anyone on Medicare. Each one of the insurance carriers, at least most of them, I wouldn't say each one, has really defined who they're going for and who they're targeting based on the way the plans are set up.
Okay.
It's a lot easier for me to sit across from someone and say, okay, you're diabetic. I know one or two plans that are going to stand out above the rest when it comes to all of your needs for diabetic stuff, for supplies, prescriptions, insulin, all that stuff. Same thing if you have cancer treatments. I pretty much know one or two plans that are going to shake out above the rest. Obviously, we got to look at prescriptions themselves. We got to look at networks, but each plan has kind of got this niche market now. Some carriers are really focusing on the veteran market, and that's who they're pitching towards. Some carriers have gone towards the dual market, which is where people have Medicare and Medicaid, and they focused all their time and effort in those plans, and they put money in those. So each insurance carrier adjusted differently. Some of them lost plans where they'd have 3 or 4 plans in the area. They were like, well, this plan's not performing enough. There's no point in having it. And they cut it off, whether there were whether the people were on that plan or not. So for those people where they got that letter and saying, hey, your plan is discontinuing, you have to make a decision. You have to change. And it's not just one company or one insurance carrier to do that. All of the insurance carriers made really big changes on the plans, especially when it comes to the Medicare side, whether that's a drug card on the supplement side or the benefits on the Advantage plan side. We've seen a lot of changes.
Okay. Now, I've also heard a few clients have been like, man, I just lost my gym membership, or I just lost my ability for this program to pay for this vehicle or this nice little perk.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Those pretty much went away a lot, right? For across the board?
The gym benefit, not so much.
Okay.
Now, the gym benefit's still on most of the plans. There's only one plan that completely got rid of it.
Okay.
There's one plan that kept the gym memberships part of their benefit, but they took away the reimbursement for fitness equipment where they used to reimburse for things like shoes, yoga equipment, things like that. Now they're not doing that anymore.
Was there groceries allowed in some plans too?
Yes, there is. And there are still 2 plans that if you have certain health conditions can qualify you and you can get groceries in our area. But for the most part, when it comes to grocery and utility money, that's referring to people who are on dual plans for Medicare and Medicaid.
So it's bells and whistles kind of got reduced in some in many ways.
Yeah, we're seeing Medicare, at least in my opinion, become more health insurance.
Not a bad thing.
No, not at all.
Right? I mean,
not at all.
Yeah. I mean,
it's health insurance at the end of the day.
It is. Yeah.
My health insurance doesn't give me money for groceries or over the counter or anything like that.
Well, and it's not run through the government. So,
True.
There you go, too. I mean, I'm always a big fan of getting things out of the government, not putting more in. But, that's my opinion.
Yep.
I think many of the listeners as well. So,
I would agree.
But so ultimately, big changes. There's still time to go through. What is the deadline? What is the cutoff?
Yeah, for Medicare, it's December 7th.
Okay. So
I've been telling everybody who I help with or who I help out with this, please try to do it before December 7th. Because December 7th, from the time I wake up until 11:59 last year at least, I was glued to my computer and my phone. I would end a call and have 3 calls to return. And it was just like that all day long. I stopped at 11. It wasn't 11:59. It must have been like 11:55 or something last year. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. And then I put my head on my desk and I just passed out.
That's a lot.
I was gone. I was like, I'm tired. I am so done.
Well, that's a lot of what if and unknown for folks too.
Yeah,
I mean,
it really
get that
is.
stuff in early because then you know that it's taken care of.
Yeah.
Peace of mind, right? And I think you and I use both that in our businesses consistently. So peace of mind is important. Get that in and have that good conversation, right?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Well, Holden, we just missed, you were, last week was Veterans Day. So thanks for coming in. Happy Veterans Day to you. Thank you for your service.
I appreciate it.
As an Army veteran, I really appreciate that. And we don't thank people enough for their service. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And you also do help veterans as well.
Yes,
That's really what got you into this business, right?
Absolutely. So I am medically retired from the military. On my way out of the Army, they put me through a lot of classes. They put most people through these classes, but not everyone pays full attention to them, right? Because you're just trying to get out of there. But the health benefit side was the biggest piece I was getting from my time in the military. So I really paid attention to that. TRICARE for Life, Champ VA, how the health insurance itself works, who to talk to when there's a problem, what paperwork you need, how the regions split up. And that is how I got into it. I went to a local VFW and I was just volunteering my time and helping out veterans understand what health benefits they had, what was available to them if they knew how to do the paperwork, and then I helped them get that submitted. It's similar to a veteran service officer, but I am not and was never a veteran service officer. I never worked for the VA. I just took the knowledge that I had and that I had used for myself to get benefits and shared that with my fellow veterans. And they kept asking me questions about personal health insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, and I kept shooing them away like I'm just volunteering, yada, yada. And one day a gentleman was like, I'm pretty sure you can get paid if you help me with my Medicare benefits. I laughed. I was like, you're wrong. No way. He was right, obviously. And kind of led to where we are now, where that's what I did. Yes.
Well, that's a passion turned into a career. And I think that's amazing. And I think that when you find that passion, you can turn it into a career, you're still able to continue to provide that journey and that assistance to others and then able to enjoy what you do. And if you really enjoy it, man, it's a wonderful feeling.
I love it. It's a lot of fun.
Good deal. All right. So do you think that anything for 2026, is there anything, I mean, obviously we're a year away here, right? Too early to know. Is there anything that's like set in stone that's gonna transpire, or are we basically, unless things change, this is where we're gonna continue?
That's tough to say. Medicare itself changes every year anyways.
Just inflationary adjustments, right?
Yeah, inflationary adjustments, absolutely. This big shakeup to the prescription drug side, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how the insurance carriers handle it. I mean, they're ran by humans at the end of the day, and this is brand new for everyone. Yeah. So to see how this $2,000 maximum out of pocket is executed by the insurance companies, I think is going to determine how 2026 is going to look.
Sure.
If it's an absolute nightmare and it's just horrible, maybe they change it up, maybe they tweak it a little bit. If it works and everything goes fine, maybe they keep it. It's really hard to tell with Medicare just because every year they change the rules on us.
Yeah. Well, and there's a new administration coming in who has specifically said many of the prior administration's policies will be gone and changed, right? By and large, when you hear something like the Inflation Reduction Act, those are some of the policies that he's been really talking about. That said, I don't know that this specific piece is necessarily on the chopping block to go back where it was.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's some good things that come out of this as well.
Absolutely. There are beneficiaries who this year in 2024 had to spend more than $10,000 at the pharmacy because they have really high cost prescriptions and the insurance companies can pass that cost on to you.
Right.
For those people, this is amazing.
Right.
They're saving thousands of dollars.
Helping the people in their time of need.
Correct.
And that's not a bad thing from a societal perspective. We just have to understand somebody's paying for it.
Correct. Somebody is paying for it. It's not just thin air money, even though sometimes it feels like it's thin air money. There's just changes. You got to be aware of them. You need to talk to, if you have an agent or broker, you need to talk to them. Your insurance company who you're currently with should have sent out what's called an annual notice of changes, ANOC, ANOC, however you want to refer to it, telling you what's going on for the new year. And you really, really need to pay attention to that because everything as it is right now can be completely different. Like I said, some insurance carriers drop plans. Some insurance carriers lost hospitals out of their network, lost doctors out of their network. So something that was covered this year might not be covered on the same exact plan in the new year. So it's definitely something that I recommend everyone take a look at. Okay.
Now, there are people that might not have anyone that they're working with today.
Correct.
Right? People can do this on their own, but there's a lot of risk with that, I assume.
Yeah. Obviously you can go to Medicare.gov and you could punch your stuff in and see. Medicare.gov doesn't really let you reference your doctor network. It lets you reference your prescription drugs, which is useful, but you don't know any of the nuances of these plans.
No advice either.
Correct. You're just at the mercy of what you see on your screen. And if you're comfortable making your health insurance decision that way, then you can do that, obviously. But what people like me, brokers and agents, bring to the table is, one, we're free. It doesn't cost anything.
I was going to say, it's not like you're charging a client a bill.
Not at all. And I mean, me alone, I've only been doing it for about 4, coming up on 5 years now. I've done this hundreds of times with people already. Yeah. There are people who have done it thousands of times. For me, I would rather have someone who I know has been through this a couple of times, explain what's going on, explain why this plan makes sense, why that plan doesn't make sense. It's really hard to do by yourself when you're just looking at a screen from a website, compared to having someone who's been experienced through all that and can walk you through and explain differences.
Well, and it's nice to have your own, benefits department.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very much so. I like that. I very much am that. I have people who text and call me. That reminds me of a great story. I had a lady who signed up for A and B online, did it all through the computer, and sent me pictures. And I said, okay, that's awesome. You did a great job. Well, she called me today while I was presenting, and she left me a voicemail. She goes, I know I did everything you said, and I sent you the picture, and you said that was great, but I'm from the show me state. You need to show me that I'm done. Am I good? Check this. Tell me 100% I'm good to go. And I just thought that was hilarious. And it kind of came up with that benefits department. Like, that's what you do when you're at work and you have an HR department. Is this right? Does this look right? Can I turn it in? Can I move forward? Right. That's very much what I do for people.
Well, I think it's important. And professionals that are living this on a day-to-day basis, that's the guidance we provide. Yeah. And that experience speaks volumes and really helps people in the end. So,
very true.
All right, Holden. You're almost through it. You got 3 weeks left, 2 weeks left. You're going to be all right.
Yes, I am. I'm hanging tough.
All right, buddy. Well, thanks for coming in, spending some time away with us.
Absolutely.
You're listening to Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. Request a free copy of Chris's latest book, The New Holistic Retirement, by visiting SerenityNowTax.com. That's SerenityNowTax.com.
All right, so folks, it is never too late to have a healthcare conversation. It is important to have a benefits department in your hand. If you were an employee with a company that had your benefits taken care of for you when you were working, that's something you got used to. Answering those questions about what your benefits look like. And quite frankly, folks, group plans through an employer, simple, easy to understand. Low deductibles usually. Even a high deductible plan is really a low deductible for most people. Guys, I'm a small business owner. I'm telling you, it was easier on the corporate side of things. It's different. You have different options. Talk to Holden. Talk to Holden regarding your personal health insurance situation, whether it's Medicare benefits, veterans benefits, small employer benefits. Holden can help you talk through these things and become the benefits department that helps you. His services are free. I use Holden specifically for my business needs, which is my family as well. Okay, it is important. Go to talkwithholden.com, talkwithholden.com. Set up some time for a no-cost consultation. I'm telling you, the knowledge he brings to the table is going to help save you some money and give you some peace of mind. 314-437-8420. Get on his calendar. Don't wait until those last minute deadlines. Get on his calendar today, because ultimately it's your health in 2025 that's going to matter. He'll talk through what makes sense for you, and what makes sense for you might not be the same as what makes sense for your neighbor. So don't take somebody else's advice. Talk to an expert. Make sure it's the one that makes sense for you, and make sure it's somebody who's in your community looking out for what's in your best interest, because they know your unique situation. Talkwithholden.com.
This is Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper.
Healthcare is a stressful conversation, but Holden at least makes it fun. Tries to make it fun, tries to make it easy to understand, but man, I get nervous. I get nervous every time I go to the doctor. I always want to know, am I going to get sent home with a medication and a bill, or just a bill? Right? I was talking to Holden off air a little bit. I'm always concerned when I go to the doctor that they're going to say, you're fine, just take some Aleve, take some Advil, not a problem, it's going to be okay. That's like, just it's going to be fine. Just wipe it off, right? No big deal. Oh, I hate that. I'd rather just give me at least a prescription, make me feel like I didn't just spend my money and waste my time, sitting in a hospital for nothing. Right. I hate it. I think it's a guy thing too. I don't know. We're terrible like that. It drives my wife nuts. She knows, like, if there's no blood, like, I'm freaking out. The kids have an appointment or, need to go to the doctor. She knows I freak out unless there's like the arm had better be shaped like an S or something. Or else I'm like, no, we're not going. It's crazy. It's a little silly at times, but it's a thing. It's just so confusing, and hopefully Holden can make it easier for folks, because he does for me. And that's so important. There's a lot of things with the medical industry that's tough to understand. And ultimately it's about getting that peace of mind that we need. We have to have insurance in our lives. We have to be protected. If we don't have those kind of coverages in our lives and something happens to us, wow, the financial cost can be absolutely crippling, just devastating, right? I see it often. So we always have to make sure our basics are taken care of, right? We have to have car insurance. We don't want to get into an accident. We have to have it, right? We need to have conversations about healthcare costs, healthcare insurance, to make sure that the what if is taken care of. Because you don't want to get some kind of crazy critical diagnosis or have a heart attack or break your arm or, God forbid something crazy happens. You don't want to be uncovered. So you got to make sure you got the right benefit plan for you and your situation. And that's super important. Really, it's a conversation about insurance in general. Super important, right? I do life insurance. I like talking about life insurance. Not many people do, right? We're talking about something that pays out when we die, right? But it's a conversation we have to have, because our financial goals outlive us. We're looking to provide a legacy for our loved ones. Our biggest asset in our lives is actually us, our ability to earn an income. It's important to understand that. It's important to ensure that, because without us, what's going to happen to our families? What's going to happen to our families when we're not around? We have to have insurance conversations. We have to have life insurance conversations. We have to understand the value of what we bring to the table. It's not always a fun conversation to have. It's not the sexiest thing to talk about, but it's important. When we're talking about legacy and we're talking about really wealth, our own wealth, our accumulation of our assets, what does that look like? I cannot have a conversation about investment management if I'm not having a conversation about our goals, our legacies, and ultimately what we want to achieve and how protected we are, right? Those are conversations that have to take place, or else, because if we get the investment side right, but then we die and we can't fund it, how does that help our family? It really doesn't. It negates those plans we put in place to save and to invest and buy whatever crazy cool stock tip you think makes sense. All of that can go away if you don't have the right strategy in place. So it's important to be strategic, it's important to be holistic, and it's important to have that professional in your life that can help understand the value you bring to the table. You're your biggest asset, right? You really are. And you have to understand that, and you have to put it in a context with your goals, okay? And that's, quite frankly, the insurance conversation. It's not about insurance as a product or a policy. It's about the value it provides to your goals. It's how it can be strategically placed. I spend a lot of time talking about long-term care insurance solutions, whether it be a policy or something else that doesn't have the same underwriting restrictions, right? There's something to be said about having that peace of mind for that significant concern. And you got to have that conversation, because if you don't have that conversation, somebody's going to have it for you. Okay. And if it's needed to have that conversation in the current administration for the next 4 years, that might be a different conversation than the administration the next 8 years, 12 years, 16 years, 20 years from now. Right. We don't know what that landscape's going to look like. We don't know what our economy is going to look like. So we have to plan for it. And we need to do that in nice, tax efficient manners. Tax efficiency is a big strategic value that we have to consider. And if we're not considering in our financial plan today, we're risking our financial plan in the future, okay? We don't know what the future is going to bring, but we can't put our lives on hold while we await for the results of elections. And we tend to do that. It's a human nature thing. I get it. But you can't put your life on hold for the next 4 election cycles. You just can't do it. You got to make sure you have some actions. You got to do it with the basic information that you have available today. You're not going to go all in on an election strategy from an investment philosophy or from a long-term perspective, because you're going to be retired for a longer period of time than the next 4 years. We're going to have financial plans that are going to last longer than that. I work with people in the accumulation years, right? 20, 30 years old. We're talking about 68, potentially 80 years of tax planning and financial well-being. It's a long time. We don't know what the political landscape is going to be. We have to ask ourselves some simple questions that give us the ability to be diversified and have strategic value in those conversations, because our goals outlive us. That's the peace of mind we all deserve. That is what we are looking for. And that's what we try to achieve with Serenity Wealth.
This is Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. Request a free copy of Chris's latest book, The New Holistic Retirement, by visiting SerenityNowTax.com. That's SerenityNowTax.com.